Few people are ready to hear this, but it's liberating when you understand attraction doesn't come from effort, it comes from attitude. Most men do the exact opposite of what works, believing that more attention, more presence, and more explanation will create desire. They don't. They create dependence, and dependence has never been attractive. Machiavelli already warned that politics guided by ideals comforts the ego, but fails in practice. The reality is more brutal and much simpler. Perhaps you've experienced this before. In the beginning, everything flows, then something changes. Interest cools, responses become short, energy drops, and nobody explains anything. It's not bad luck. It's not a lack of value. It's emotional reading. Attraction works before words, before declared intentions, even before physical contact. What decides everything is what you transmit when you're not trying to transmit anything. In this video, you'll understand 5 masculine behaviors that trigger almost instant attraction, not through cheap manipulation, but through internal alignment. These are attitudes that communicate sovereignty, mystery, self-control, and purpose. They don't require performance, they require adjustment. And when that adjustment happens, something curious emerges. You stop chasing and start being chosen. If something inside you awakened while listening, don't ignore that feeling. This channel isn't about videos, it's about memories. Remember who you were before the fear, before the exhaustion, before the silence. Each new video here is a different reflection of your own soul, an invitation to understand what the world never taught you. The power you seek outside has always been within you. If you feel that this journey speaks to what lives silently within you, sign up now. Not to follow yet another creator, but to reconnect with something the world tried to make you forget. Because here, every word was made to heal, each reflection to awaken, and each video serves as a reminder you are not alone on the path back to yourself. Click on subscribe and turn the algorithm into a daily reminder of who you really are. He needs to understand a truth that almost no one dares to say aloud. When a man pursues too much, he doesn't demonstrate interest, he communicates scarcity. And scarcity, in the reading of real human nature, never generates lasting attraction. Machiavelli already warned that decisions based on ideals and not on reality lead to political failure. And here, the field is emotional. Bombarding someone with messages, constant attention, and total availability seems romantic in modern discourse, but in practice, it undermines perceived value. The end justifies the means when the means is self-control. Matching her level of investment is not coldness, it's strategic intelligence. If she sends a casual message, he responds with presence, not anxiety. If she disappears, he doesn't panic. He goes on with his life. This is politics guided by reality, not by ideals. People value what they need to achieve, not what is already guaranteed. The virtue here lies in knowing how to contain the immediate impulse and trust in one's own position. And curiously, the less he tries to prove something, the more silent respect begins to emerge. Having a life of your own and a busy life isn't theater or a game, it's personal sovereignty. A man who lives solely for a woman relinquishes power even before any real bond exists. And Machiavelli would say that whoever gives up their own territory cannot expect loyalty. In this context, his own loyal armies are his projects, his routine, his friends, his personal mission. When he has real commitments, training 3 times a week, consistent reading, career advancement, strategic study, he naturally leaves space, and this space is a silent invitation for her to come to him. It's not about ignoring her, but about not centralizing her. Reading books like Marcus Aurelius's Meditations or Ryan Holiday's Ego is the Enemy helps reinforce this internal posture of autonomy. A man who values himself doesn't need to announce it, he demonstrates it. The appearance of virtue here isn't pretense, it's coherence between discourse and action. And that completely changes the dynamics of the game. There's a subtle point that few realize. Ceasing the pursuit doesn't scare away the right woman. It only scares away those who feed on your neediness. And that's a silent victory. Better to be feared than loved, in the Machiavellian sense, means being respected before being desired. When he stops chasing, something curious happens. The energy changes. The conversation becomes lighter, the interest becomes more genuine, and curiosity grows. He doesn't need to announce limits because his posture already communicates them. Avoiding being hated here is simple. No cheap games or punitive silence, just balanced presence. Constant adaptability means knowing how to adjust the pace without losing your essence. And it's precisely at this point that many men begin to realize that attraction doesn't stem from excessive effort, but from the tranquility of someone who knows where they stand. But to truly sustain this, there's something even more crucial that comes right after: how he handles his own emotions when tested. He needs to understand that mystery isn't about hiding, it's about rhythm. Revealing everything about oneself right at the beginning doesn't create a deep connection, it creates emotional saturation. Machiavelli already made it clear that the appearance of virtue, when well managed, sustains power over time. Politics, guided by reality, not ideals, teaches that excessive transparency eliminates tension, and without tension, there is no attraction. Sharing one's own story gradually allows each conversation to be a discovery, not a dumping of information. He doesn't need to recount his entire childhood, all his traumas, or all his future plans in the first month. A detail here, a memory there, a strategic silence over there. Making the difficult seem easy is an art, responding naturally without giving everything away. This isn't manipulation, it's reading real human nature. People engage more with what they are still uncovering. The end justifies the means when the means is to preserve one's own value. Being positively unpredictable doesn't mean being unstable, it means not being obvious. He maintains solid routines, but not emotionally predictable ones. One day he's busy training, another immersed in a personal project, another simply offline reading something like Machiavelli's The Prince or Greg McKeown's Essentialism. He doesn't feel the need to post every step on social media because he understands that excessive exposure weakens presence. Virtù and fortuna go hand in hand when he creates opportunities without forcing results. Instead of announcing achievements, he allows them to be perceived. Instead of over-explaining, he observes. Calculated use of force here is knowing when to speak and when to remain silent. And curiously, the less he tries to impress, the more impact he generates. Well-applied mystery doesn't push people away, it draws them closer. There's a huge difference between being closed off and being profound. A truly great man doesn't hide. He reveals himself in layers. He understands that trust grows with time, not through emotional acceleration. In this context, it's better to be feared than loved. It's better to be respected for one's own silent demeanor. Avoiding being hated means not playing confusing or contradictory games, simply maintaining consistency. When she senses there's still something to discover, curiosity remains alive. Constant adaptability means knowing when to open up a little more and when to preserve space. And it's in this balance that interest ceases to be momentary and begins to solidify. But no mystery can be sustained if a man loses himself emotionally in the face of inevitable tests. That's where something even more crucial to attraction comes in: emotional mastery. He needs to understand that uncontrolled emotion is not a sign of intensity, but a sign of perceived fragility. In politics guided by reality, not ideals, those who overreact reveal too much information. Machiavelli knew that the calculated use of force always begins with inner control. Maintaining calm and composure doesn't mean being cold, but being predictable only to oneself. Feminine tests arise all the time. Delays, short answers, minor provocations, and panicking is falling into that trap. The man who masters his own emotions observes before acting. He breathes, evaluates, and responds with balance. The end justifies the means when the means is emotional self-control. Jealousy, anxiety, and anger are not repressed, they are regulated. And this silent regulation communicates security in an almost instinctive way. Being a rock in the storm isn't empty poetry, it's visible behavior. When there's tension, he doesn't change. When there's silence, he doesn't plead. When there's doubt, he doesn't over-justify. Better to be feared than loved here means being emotionally respected before any affection. His own loyal armies in this field are daily practices of self-control, consistent physical training, regulated sleep, a minimally structured diet, and reading that strengthens the mind. Books like Emotional Intelligence by Daniel Goleman or 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson help create this internal foundation. He doesn't suffocate with emotional neediness because he doesn't depend on others to feel whole. The appearance of virtue arises when behavior confirms stability, and this reduces conflicts before they even exist. Controlling emotions isn't about swallowing everything. It's about choosing the right moment. Avoiding being hated involves not exploding or accumulating resentment. He speaks when necessary, with a calm and firm voice, without drama. Virtù and fortuna align when he understands that not everything requires an immediate response. Constant adaptability means knowing that some emotional battles don't need to be fought. And the most curious thing is that the less he reacts impulsively, the more space he occupies. Attraction grows in his tranquil presence, not in chaotic intensity. But emotional self-control alone doesn't sustain long-term respect. There's a crucial point where everything is revealed, the ability to establish clear boundaries without losing composure. He needs to understand that respect doesn't stem from fear of losing, but from clarity of position. When a man accepts small acts of disrespect to keep the peace, he silently teaches how he can be treated. Machiavelli already warned that avoiding being hated doesn't mean tolerating everything. It means acting with firmness and intelligence. Politics guided by reality, not ideals, shows that clear boundaries prevent larger conflicts. Speaking calmly when a boundary is crossed communicates emotional maturity. It's not shouting, it's not accusation, it's taking a stand. Something as simple as "this doesn't work for me" or "I prefer it to be different" carries much more force than long explanations. Calculated use of force is knowing that a short phrase, said at the right moment, is worth more than speeches. The appearance of virtue here manifests in posture, not in aggressiveness. Being willing to leave if necessary is the ultimate limit, and also the most powerful. Your own loyal armies at this point are your self-esteem and the ability to move on without resentment. He doesn't threaten to leave, he simply knows he can. Better to be feared than loved, in the Machiavellian sense, is to be respected enough not to need to prove anything. Showing self-esteem through standards means acting consistently, not accepting rudeness, emotional games, or devaluation disguised as jokes. Books like The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz help to understand clear agreements and direct communication. Decisions based on real human nature recognize that those who do not respect themselves do not inspire respect. And curiously, when he sets boundaries without anger, the environment adjusts itself. Women don't love men who don't respect themselves. This phrase might be unsettling, but it's liberating. A man who asserts himself calmly conveys security, not rigidity. Avoiding being hated isn't about self-annihilation, it's about not being reactive. Virtue and fortune go hand in hand when he understands that boundaries don't drive away the right person, they only filter out the wrong one. Constant adaptability means adjusting the tone without abandoning the core. And the clearer the boundaries, the less they need to be reaffirmed. Respect becomes implicit, not negotiable. But there's something even stronger than well-defined boundaries: the ability to keep one's own purpose above any relationship without needing to announce it aloud. He needs to understand that the most common and most destructive mistake is abandoning one's own goals for someone one is still getting to know. In politics guided by reality, not ideals, this is surrendering power without any guarantee. Machiavelli already made it clear that those who are emotionally dependent become predictable and vulnerable. A sovereign man never makes a woman the center of his life because he already has a well-defined center. Hobbies, career, routine, and goals are not accessories, they are the foundation. When he maintains non-negotiable commitments such as training, studying, or advancing personal projects, he communicates something powerful without saying a word. The end justifies the means when the means are discipline itself. An appearance of virtue arises when he acts with consistency between what he says he wants and what he actually does. And this creates attraction almost automatically. Having a mission beyond the relationship completely changes the dynamic. He's not with her out of desperation, but by conscious choice. His own loyal armies here are his long-term ambitions: building a solid career, undertaking a business venture, mastering a rare skill. Reading books like Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill or The Talent Code by Daniel Coyle help structure this internal focus. Better to be feared than loved in this context is to be respected for not compromising one's own purpose. He doesn't cancel important plans to please others, nor does he mold his own schedule according to the moods of others. Calculated use of force is knowing how to say no today without guilt. Decisions based on real human nature show that emotional independence is deeply attractive. When he remains sovereign, something interesting happens. The relationship ceases to be the main stage of life and becomes a healthy complement. Avoiding being hated is simple. He doesn't impose purpose, he lives purpose. Virtù and Fortuna align when he understands that he doesn't need to compete with anyone, only advance on his own path. Constant adaptability is adjusting the pace without abandoning direction. The woman realizes she is beside someone whole, not someone who needs to be filled. And this creates security, admiration, and a desire for permanence. But for all this to make sense, there is a greater message weaving all these rules together, something that completely changes how attraction is perceived. Now the responsibility shifts. Nothing you've heard here works if it remains solely in the realm of intellectual understanding. Real transformation begins when you apply it, in your daily life, in small decisions, in the micro actions that almost no one notices but that everyone feels. Stop reacting automatically. Observe your behavior. Where do you over-pursue? Where do you over-explain? Where do you abandon your own limits or your purpose just to avoid losing someone? Politics guided by reality, not by ideals, requires the courage to act differently from the majority. Ask yourself with brutal honesty, are you trying to be chosen, or are you becoming someone who chooses? Are you seeking approval or building presence? Are you living from neediness or sovereignty? Machiavelli never spoke of attraction, but he did speak of true human nature, and it hasn't changed. Respect comes before desire. Self-control comes before connection. Purpose comes before any healthy relationship. If you apply at least one of these rules starting today, your dynamics with people will already begin to change. And if you apply them all, the change won't be external. It will be structural. Now I want to know, which of these behaviors do you feel you most need to develop? Write in the comments. Let's talk about it.